Hello everybody, this is Evan Leonetti again reporting from the Roseburg ODFW office. Just wanted to update you guys again and maybe give you a little bit more information this to go around. So if you remember, we have winter steelhead in our tank, the tank right here behind me. They're still in the alvin stage or alvin stage. Still got that egg sac, but if you look closely between last week's update and this week's update, you can see that the eyes are more developed. You start seeing the fins a little bit more easy. The egg sac might even be a little bit smaller. They're a little bit more wiggly. They're moving around a little bit more. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about their life cycle. So a steelhead's life cycle, we'll start with the eggs because we have them here, right? We start with eggs. They spend a couple months, in the gravel. Then after that, they develop into an alvin, sac fry, and then they turn into a swim up fry, and then they turn into a par, and then a smolt. So steelhead will spend anywhere from 1 to 3 years in fresh water, typically. And that's in the wild. So in the hatchery, it's a little bit different. In the hatchery, here in the Umpqua, our winter steelhead only spend 1 year in freshwater, which seems pretty short. However, we're feeding them a lot and they're growing a lot. So 1 to 3 years in freshwater for wild fish, 1 year for hatchery fish in freshwater. So then they migrate out to the ocean. They become, they spend a couple years out in the ocean. Typically it's about 2. Our hatchery fish seem to spend about 2, maybe 3 years in the ocean, and they make their way back. And the wild fish spend 1 to 3 years in the oceans. So then they come back, and now they're adults, right? They come back as adults. They make their nest in the wild, dig their nest, deposit the eggs, and the cycle starts all over again. In a hatchery setting, it's a little bit different. The fish are collected, delivered to the hatchery. The hatchery then processes those, mixes the milts and the eggs together, develops an embryo, and then the process starts again in the hatchery. So I also wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about why is a winter steelhead called a winter steelhead. We have 2 different runs, 2 distinct runs in the Umpqua. We have winter steelhead and summer steelhead. Winter steelhead, simply said, come back from the ocean in the wintertime. Our winter steelhead come back between December and about April. They'll come in pretty late, but then they spawn during that time as well. Summer steelhead will migrate out from the ocean back into freshwater in the summertime. So we start seeing those fish in the Umpqua as early as April, but most of the time it doesn't start until May, and then it's clear on through the summer. Summer steelhead, though, like their cousins, the winter steelhead, will spawn in the wintertime. They start a little bit earlier, they start spawning a little bit earlier, but essentially the same time as winter steelhead. They sometimes occupy the same area, so it's hard to tell the difference in the wintertime, but you can generally tell what time of year when they're coming back, which run of fish you have. The Umpqua also has fall chinook. So fall chinook might come back when? When do you think? Maybe leave that in the comments or send me an email, give me a phone call. And then we also have spring chinook. So also, when do you think those guys come back? And a lot of you probably know the answer, but maybe some of you don't. So that kind of ends our presentation for the day. We'll check back with you guys probably next week. Hope you're doing well, and we'll see you next time.